Today, we're going on a hunt for an invisible enemy, a devastating parasitic disease called Onchocerciasis, but you probably know it by its much more chilling name, river blindness.
I mean, just think about that for a second. It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie. But for millions of people, it's been a devastating reality. And this isn't some metaphor. The disease is spread by a tiny blackfly that breeds in the very same fast-flowing rivers that communities depend on for life.
And the scale of this problem, it's just staggering. As of 2017, we're talking about nearly 21 million people infected across the globe. Over 1 million of them suffering from vision loss. It is a massive global health challenge, with most of the burden falling on sub-Saharan Africa. So, to really understand the incredible fight against river blindness, you first have to understand the enemy. So let's take a closer look at what this blinding plague actually is.
Okay, so here's the breakdown. At its core, it's all about a parasitic worm, Onchocerca volvulus, and its partner in crime, the blackfly. The name river blindness makes perfect, tragic sense. It comes directly from where the fly lives and the disease's worst possible outcome. Now this is where things get really wild. The journey this parasite takes is this incredibly complex dance between two different hosts, humans and insects. It's a marvel of evolution, really. And it all starts right here with this tiny black fly. You can think of it as the parasite's personal taxi service, shuttling it from one person to the next. You take away the fly, and the parasite's entire life cycle just grinds to a complete halt.
So let's trace this journey. It's a vicious cycle. But look at step 3. This is what's so mind-boggling. A single pair of adult worms can produce up to 1,500 new microscopic larvae, called microfilariae, every single day. These baby worms then travel all through the body, packing into the skin and eyes, just waiting for another blackfly to bite and give them a ride to their next victim. So you can just imagine, with millions of these microscopic larvae swarming through a person's body year after year, the consequences are severe. Let's look at how this siege actually plays out inside the human host. Now this right here is the crucial tragic twist. You'd think the living worms are the problem, right? Well, not exactly. It's actually a case of friendly fire. When the larvae die, and they're dying all the time, the body's immune system launches an all-out attack, causing this intense inflammation that ends up destroying its own tissues, especially in the skin and the eyes. And this attack creates a war on two fronts. In the skin, this constant inflammation leads to the most intense, relentless itching you can imagine, along with horrible disfigurement. And in the eyes, that exact same inflammatory process is what clouds the cornea and damages the optic nerve, slowly but surely leading to irreversible blindness. And the names that have been given to these skin conditions, they really paint a picture of the suffering. Leopard skin describes this splotchy loss of pigment. Elephant and lizard skin refer to the painful thickening and wrinkling of the skin. And those hard nodules you can feel under the skin, the onchocercomas, those are literally tangled up masses of the adult worms just living there. Okay, I know this all sounds incredibly grim, but this is not a story without hope. Not by a long shot. For decades now, a massive global effort has been fighting back. So, how do you stop a plague like this? Let's look at the strategies that are really turning the tide. This quote is the absolute key to understanding our primary weapon, a drug called ivermectin. It's a miracle drug, really. It wipes out the baby microfilaria that are causing all that inflammation. But, and this is a huge but, it doesn't kill the adult worms. And those adults can live for over a decade, just continuing to produce new larvae. That means one dose isn't a cure. Treatment has to be repeated. And because of that, the main strategy couldn't be just treating sick individuals. It had to be bigger, much bigger. It's called mass drug administration, or MDA. The idea is to treat entire communities, everyone, once or twice a year for many years. This keeps the larvae population down, stops the terrible symptoms, and eventually breaks that cycle of transmission. But then, scientists got even smarter. They found this amazing backdoor attack. See, it turns out the adult worms aren't living alone. They have these bacteria called Wolbachia living inside them that they absolutely need to survive. So the antibiotic doxycycline doesn't even target the worm directly. It kills the bacteria the worm depends on, and that in turn sterilizes and can even kill the adult worm. It's so clever. So you have the drugs to treat the people. But what about the flies?
Well, that's the other side of the attack. Go after the parasite's taxi service. In the early days, a huge part of the fight was large-scale insecticide spraying in rivers to kill the blackfly larvae right at the source. It was an absolutely critical first step. So, armed with these incredible tools, the drugs and vector control, the world started to shift its thinking. It wasn't just about controlling the disease anymore. The goal, the dream, became total elimination. So what does that path actually look like? Well, that shift was made possible by two absolute game changers. First, you had the Onchocerciasis control program, which coordinated that vector control across West Africa. And then, in 1987, something truly historic happened. The drug company Merck pledged to donate their miracle drug, Mectizan, for free, for as long as it was needed. That program is still running today, one of the most successful public health partnerships in history.
And you can just see the incredible progress on this timeline. From those early programs in the 70s to that amazing donation in 87, all the way to 2013, when Colombia became the very first country in the world to be verified free of the disease. And the next huge milestone is just around the corner. Niger is on track to be the first country in Africa to do it. Each one of these steps was once considered impossible.
And get this, in the entire Western Hemisphere, the whole of the Americas, the fight has been narrowed down to one single, final, very challenging area. Reaching these remote indigenous communities is the very last hurdle to making the Americas the first continent to be declared completely free of river blindness.
So elimination is actually in sight. We can see the finish line. But as anyone who's ever run a marathon knows, the last mile is always the hardest. We have the tools, we have the knowledge, but reaching every last person in the most remote corners of the globe takes incredible persistence and unwavering commitment. The hunt for this invisible enemy is almost over, but that final takedown, that will be the greatest test of all.